Listen, if you're a SaaS founder or operator right now, you already know the game has totally changed. The days of raising endless capital on just a pitch deck and a dream, yeah, those are completely over. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into the hard truths of 2026 unit economics, specifically the one survival metric that will actually keep your business alive. We're looking at the cold, hard data to see exactly what separates the companies that are thriving from the ones that are, well, quietly running out of cash.
Let's just jump straight into this absolutely jarring number. The median B2B SaaS company today is burning $2 whole just to generate a single dollar of new annual recurring revenue. I mean, think about the math on that for a second. You're literally burning $2 today just to get $1 back over the course of the next year. It's almost comical, right? But it's actually an incredibly steep hill to climb, and it represents a massive 14% increase in acquisition costs just since 2023. If your model relies on acquiring customers unprofitably and just kind of hoping to figure it out later, you are on a serious collision course with reality.
Because here is the new reality. The growth at all costs era is dead. Efficiency is the new standard. Hypergrowth fueled by cheap capital is gone, and it's been replaced by a ruthless, and I mean ruthless, focus on capital efficiency. Back in 2020 or 2021, if you were growing at 60 or 100% year over year, investors frankly didn't care how much cash you burned to get there. But the 2026 macroeconomic climate absolutely demands discipline. Today, sustainable growth is valued so much higher than hypergrowth with terrible unit economics. The new scoreboard is all about how efficiently you grow, not just top-line vanity metrics. So to survive, we've got to master the LTV to CAC ratio. Now, you probably know the basics, but let's reframe this as the ultimate scoreboard for your go-to-market efficiency. It's answering one fundamental question. Do I actually make more money from my customers than it costs me to get them in the door? You take your customer lifetime value, that total gross margin adjusted value, and divide it by your customer acquisition cost, which is literally everything you spend on sales, marketing, software, agency fees, the whole shebang. And here's where it gets scary. What used to be a total badge of honor, a 3-to-1 ratio, is now literally the bare minimum required just to survive in 2026. In the past, hitting 3-to-1 meant you were doing fantastic. Today, it just means you're barely keeping your head above water. Capital isn't free anymore. Investors and boards want to see genuine, robust efficiency. So the new baseline for a healthy SaaS business has actually shifted up to 4-to-1. If you're sitting at 3-to-1 right now, you've got zero margin for error if the market shifts or a new competitor pops up.
Okay, so moving into Section 1, why acquisition costs surged, or the 2026 efficiency squeeze. Take a look at this. Median customer acquisition costs have skyrocketed 60% over the last 5 years, hitting a staggering $1,200 per customer in 2026. And this isn't just isolated to one niche either. Across the board, from HR tech to fintech, it is simply more expensive to win a new logo than it has ever been in the history of the software industry. You're fighting way harder and paying way more for the exact same amount of revenue.
So what's driving this pain? It's a brutal combo of massive ad cost inflation and lengthening sales cycles. Just look at these numbers. Google ads are up 164%, and LinkedIn ads are up 89% since 2019. We are pouring money into channels that are yielding diminishing returns. On top of that, it's taking so much longer to close deals. The average sales cycle has stretched out to 134 days, mainly because buying committees are larger and way more risk-averse now. Your sales reps are working deals longer, which burns more salary and overhead, and that just relentlessly drives your CAC higher and higher.
All right, let's look at part 2, the 3-to-1 survival metric, which we like to call the Goldilocks zone of SaaS.
You really want to land right in the middle here. Dip below 3-to-1 and you're in the danger zone, unprofitable and burning cash. But jump above 7-to-1 and you're actually starving your own growth by underinvesting in sales and marketing. If you're at 2-to-1, your acquisition costs are too high or your customers churn too fast. 3-to-1, like we said, is mere survival. 4-to-1 up to 5-to-1 is that healthy sweet spot where the best-in-class companies live. But interestingly, if you hit 7-to-1 or higher, it might look amazing on paper, but it actually signals a major problem. It means you're being way too conservative. You should actually be pouring more money into sales and marketing to capture market share because your engine is highly profitable.
Now let's look at how this pressure fractures across different market segments. This is pretty wild. The average SMB SaaS company is operating at a 2.5-to-1 ratio. That is dangerously close to the failure line. Meanwhile, enterprise SaaS companies, the ones with contract values over $100,000, they're cruising at a very healthy 4.5-to-1 average. The SMB space is really struggling right now.
It's incredibly difficult to make the math work when your customer only pays you, say, $5,000 to $20,000 a year, but you still have to pay those inflated ad costs and sales salaries to win them. This is exactly why we're seeing so many SMB-focused companies being forced to push upmarket or add usage-based pricing layers just to stay alive.
There's a great quote here from Gene Goldick, founder of G Squared Partners. He says the companies pulling ahead are those that pair strong retention with efficient acquisition. And they're able to do this because they have the SaaS accounting and finance systems to measure what actually matters. And he hits the nail on the head. Surviving this environment requires pairing efficient acquisition with incredibly strong retention. You can't just market your way out of a bad product, and you can't retain customers if your acquisition costs are literally bankrupting you. You need both sides working perfectly together, and you have to track these metrics ruthlessly. Seriously, if you aren't measuring this by channel and by customer segment, you're flying completely blind.
Which brings us to part 3, how to survive and scale by fixing your unit economics. Let's get into the actionable stuff.
First up, the most critical secondary metric you need to be watching is your CAC payback period. For best-in-class survival, this must be kept under 12 months. Your payback period is simply how many months it takes to recover the cost of acquiring a customer through their gross margin contribution. Now, the 2026 median is actually sitting around 15 to 18 months, which is a bit scary. But the top quartile, the companies actually getting funded and securing premium valuations right now, they're recovering their costs in under a year. Speed to profitability per customer is absolutely your ultimate defense against a market downturn.
So how do you get those costs down? Well, the winners are shifting their budgets away from those inflated traditional paid ads and pouring it into compounding organic channels like SEO and AI citation visibility. Relying purely on Google and LinkedIn ads is a massive trap in 2026 because the second you stop spending, your pipeline completely dries up. The companies beating the benchmarks are building organic content engines. They're making sure their platforms are visible to AI search agents. Yes, these channels take longer to build, for sure, but they offer compounding economics. Over time, your blended CAC actually decreases as your organic footprint grows.
Executing this survival playbook really comes down to a few hard rules. You need to focus ruthlessly on keeping net revenue retention, or NRR, above 100%. Maintain those gross margins above 75%. Look at pushing up market or adding usage-based layers like we talked about earlier. Use AI not just as a shiny gimmick, but to actually accelerate your SDR prospecting and content creation. And finally, streamline your onboarding to stop 30-day churn in its tracks. Honestly, if you only have 30 minutes a week to look at metrics, focus right here. High gross margins let you reinvest in growth without begging for external capital. And high 30-day churn, that destroys your LTV instantly.
I really want to emphasize that NRR piece because companies with NRR above 100% grow 1.5 to 3 times faster than their peers. When you retain and expand your existing customers above 100%, you basically unlock a massive growth cheat code. It completely takes the pressure off that expensive acquisition engine. NRR is arguably the single most important metric in 2026. Think about it. If your NRR is 106%, even if you didn't acquire a single new customer all year, your business still grows by 6% just from existing customers upgrading and expanding. It proves your product has immense value and turns your customer base into a compounding revenue engine.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to look hard at your dashboard today and ask yourself one vital question. Are you optimizing for headline growth, or are you optimizing for survival? Growth just for growth's sake is a total relic of the past. The companies commanding premium valuations and market leadership today are the ones proving they can grow efficiently. Fix your unit economics, master your LTV to CAC ratio, and build a machine that scales profitably. Because honestly, that is the only way you win in 2026.